Thanks for joining us, and welcome back to the Watchman on the Wall podcast. Periodically, we'll bring you true stories of angelic encounters, heavenly visitations, near-death experiences, as well as modern-day prophecies that are relevant to us today. When we come back, we'll begin our next episode. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And here's the best part, it's completely free. Anchor has a creation tool that will allow you to record and edit your podcast. This can be done right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. This will allow it to be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many more. Now you can even add a song from Spotify to your podcast. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. So take a minute to download the Anchor app or just go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello again and welcome back. Today we have a compilation of prophecies as well as news articles that has been compiled by Stan Johnson. And according to him, there could be a catastrophe about to hit sometime between September 23rd, 24th, and 25th. He goes on to explain his reasoning. However, I personally cannot testify that something's going to happen as far as a catastrophe goes in these dates or anytime soon. But as a watchman, it's up to me, I believe, to get the word out. You know, if there's a storm on the horizon, you want to be warned so you can prepare. And I sure pray nothing happens on these dates. However, you do want to prepare just in case. So here now is Stan Johnson with his catastrophe update.
On September, really 23, 24, 25, in that ballpark, there's several places that say there's about to be a catastrophe. It's all very, very important. As a matter of fact, as I said yesterday, in my 30 years of being on radio and TV, I think this is one of the most important programs I've ever put out. They do not say that the tribulation is about to start. Sometimes I think, oh yes, it is. Sometimes I think, no, I do not know. I do know it starts on a feast day, and that feast of the Feast of Trumpets. And the Feast of Trumpets in 2022 is September 24th, specifically at 10:32 in the morning. But let me breathe, and I'm going to move fast for the first part because I go into details on it in yesterday's program. But today, let's get into the new information. Here's the fast breeze. So the big question today is, what is about to happen September 23, 4, and 5? The answer is, I don't know. But the question is it going to be an internal revolution? Is it going to be suitcase nukes, a financial disaster such as death of the dollar, stock market crash, something like that, poison water, or drought or electrical outages? My guess is stock market crash. A new financial system coming in. Now, just the headlines. U.S. freight railroads prepare for potential strike disruption. When? September 16, as in this coming Friday. Economic collapse beginning in Germany September 25th. This pastor, saw it. He tells all about it, covered it. Neville Johnson was told, this is another prophet, he said that many of the churches and Christian organizations are about to go bankrupt. This guy says the same thing. Many of the churches are about to go bankrupt. Why? Because I don't think it's just churches. I think a lot of business, a lot of people are about to go into a real pain. Terry Bennett said that the German economy will stumble. That's one of the first signs. He saw headlines that said the Mission Impossible mission, helping the woes of Europe. So that's one of the first things we're going to see is the fall of the European financial system. The altered landscape of Europe. New nations emerge from chaos. German and French currency unveiled. Others consider participation. So this is moving from the coins and cash to a digital system. That's where we're going. Nothing will be the same after September 25 and 26, says James Bailey, said the Lord told him. Shane Warren reminded us that when the Saudis start selling oil in another currency other than the dollar, it's going to crash the dollar. August 24th, the Saudi now unhooked from the dollar. And then August 22, the president of China went over to Saudis, and we don't know the conclusion of that. But here's the question. What if the Chinese have made a deal and they say you must only buy Saudi crude oil in yuan? The dollar will die. It will die quickly. Headline, remember this comes from Chris Reed. The U.S. dollar drops 30% in value, and several of the prophecies saw that when it happens like almost overnight. There's no time to prepare. And I'm letting you know, because whatever day you're looking at this, you've only got a few days to get prepared. You got a few days to order some gold and silver, cornerstoneassetmetals.com. You got a few days to go down, which reminds me I need to go to the bank today because I don't have a lot of cash myself. I need to get about at least 2 to 4 weeks of cash. That way, if the credit cards aren't working, and it may be that I have to pull out a silver coin and try to codule them into giving me some gas for a silver coin. But probably at this point, it'll simply be the credit cards aren't working. The system is down. So I want to have some cash to buy groceries. Of course, I have lots of wheat. Or also just gasoline and things like that. So, yeah, that's on my agenda today. Go to the bank and get some cash. Anyway, the subtitle is Middle Eastern Oil Strikes Deal with China instead of the U.S. So, bingo, we are on the precipice of that. And I think that Prophecy Club is about to grow exponentially because things we've been talking about, a lot of people say, bah humbug, baloney, oh, you're just doomsdayer. Well, they're about to start happening, and just like he told me. See, I forgot to mention that. When Leslie was seeing those headlines, he said to me, when those prophecies I gave your wife begin to come to pass, people from all directions will begin to turn and listen to your ministry. And I think that we're getting really close to some of those first headlines, but that's not a topic today. Let's move on. Charles Turner saw that he saw us in a vision moving from a cash system to a cashless system of digital numbers. Chinese president doing Saudi Arabia? Why? Maybe they're switching to the yuan to sell Saudi oil. Russian plans to decouple from the dollar, euro, and SWIFT system. Russia is looking into its own gold standard. The German legislature, and I played this yesterday, if we have time, we'll play it again. He says, dear colleagues, this 24th of September 2022 will be a day remaining in our memories as a day when we will say, I remember exactly where I was. That's what he's saying. And this was said in the Bundestag in Germany by one of their counselors. Okay, that's really, really big. Now, the question is, what's going to happen on September 24th? Well, 24th is on a Saturday. So I would think if the stock market was going to crash, it actually happened on the 23rd. So that's the reason I say 23, 24, 25. So what are they planning on the 24th? Here's what the guy says.
Herren, liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen. Dieser 24. September 2022 wird uns allen als ein Tag im Gedächtnis bleiben, von dem wir später einmal sagen werden, ich weiß noch genau, wo ich war.
Headline, financial guys 3 times more extreme than 2008. Hal Turner says, every once in a while, there's a chart that blows your hair back. In years of doing this, none stand out like this one. Last week, the institutional traders bought $8.1 billion worth of put options. You remember right after 9/11, there was some reports of some people that bought some put options on airlines because they knew that the value of the airlines was about to go down. So when someone has $8.1 billion, they know something. They know something. And when they're spending $8.1 billion betting that the stock market is about to go down, they know something. Questions what's going to happen. I think we're looking at a crash. That's my guess. Federal Reserve details digital dollar. We've covered that, so I'm just refreshing your memory. Within 180 days of this date, the president signed an executive order says that you must come up with a digital system. Here's all of the paperwork on it, which we're skipping. 23 countries now abandoning U.S. dollar. That's one of the things that we've been watching for from the prophecies to see the dollar fall. Daniel Davis said he saw that they would not accept dollars. Entire leadership of NATO fired, and it goes on to say that the Vatican is calling all of its money back to the Vatican Bank no later than September 30th. All of this says financial crash, stock market crash, death of the dollar. That's what it all says. Vicky Goforth Parnell had a dream, and I believe she's hearing from God. Now, essentially what it says, that she saw the devil, the Antichrist, being praised for being so smart in his finances, the last few lines. The transition to a digital currency system for our world went smoothly under his direction. That's where they're going. All the coins and cash disappears. We go to a digital system based upon the cell phone, linked into Elon Musk's Starlink satellites, tied into a quantum computer, and they track everybody, everywhere. And then one day they'll come out with the mark of the beast, and so you cannot buy or sell unless you're part of that system, and you can't be part of that system unless you take the mark. That's where we're going. Now, I already covered this, so I'm skipping by, but essentially he says, this is an expert, and he says, look, we're about to see a biblical cycle. Specifically, he mentioned September the 25th is something about to happen. He said it's going to be the greatest wealth transfer and the greatest financial event in human history, and I agreed. Okay, so Terry Saka, why should people call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com today?
Well, we've had large developments. We all do know about the war with Ukraine and Russia, but what's happening in Europe, beyond the fact that they have food rationing, energy rationing, and the Rhine River, which is the heartland of the industrial world of Europe, is now drying up to the point where the barges can no longer go through. And now the announcement just yesterday that Russia was going to eliminate all Nord Stream energy flows to Europe is huge. So what that's doing is it's making the euro currency crash way below parity, making the dollar really strong, which is giving you a tremendous buying opportunity because gold and silver is very cheap. But don't be fooled, it won't last long.
CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Call them, start some dialogue, open an account, and get yourself prepared for what is coming.
We'll be right back with more after this. Hello again, this is the Watchman. Please join us each week for an exciting and inspirational podcast dealing with angel encounters, heavenly visitations, near-death experiences, as well as modern-day prophecies that are relevant to us today. So tune in each week and share it with your friends. After all, they could use a little inspiration in their life, too. That's the Watchman on the Wall podcast, and now you can find us on YouTube. Please join us on the Watchman News Network. It's a video news presentation of relevant stories dealing with end-time topics. Just subscribe to the Watchman on the Wall podcast on YouTube, and you will instantly have access to our latest WNN report. That's the Watchman News Network, exclusively found on YouTube. We return now with Stan Johnson and his information on a possible catastrophe happening soon.
Now, this is the part I wanted to get to today. 9/10/2022. Timothy Dixon. I believe this guy's hearing from God. And let me also say, just because a person comes out with one prophecy and I say they're hearing from God, does not guarantee everything in the past or present from that particular person has my endorsement on it. I'm saying I believe this is of God, and I can't even read all of it because it's so long, but I'm going to cover the part that we need to hear. A new time of ages is coming for the understanding. By the way, this is heavily edited because of the way he talks, the way he stumbles, and he was on his knees with the back of his head facing the microphone. It was hard to understand. A new time of ages is coming for the understanding of my word. I shall utter secrets from ages past. In the next 40 days, okay, rule number one with Leslie, Prophet Leslie, is God does not set dates. So when he says 40 days, that's very risky, but I'll say on. In the next 40 days, I will send a rain that shall be a great outpouring of my spirit. At the same time, it will rain upon the world. There will also be a rain that shall go forth on the land in the judgment. It is my judgment on the earth. Now, so what he's saying is, he's about to pour out his spirit on all flesh. Your old men going to dream dreams, young men going to see vision, but there's also going to be a flood, physically, of rain. It's my judgment on the earth. As my judgment went forth from Noah to build the ark, know that this is the hour of the latter rain. As I told you, August the 8th of 2015, Saturday night, I said, Lord, what do you want to say for the sermon tomorrow morning? Because I have nothing to say. And I heard words. Now, I've heard them in the night before, but I never heard the audible voice of God where I'm sitting. This is the chair I was sitting in. This is the monitor I was looking at. And I heard words. And they said, this is the time of miracles. As the judgment hits, so will my miracles. Miracles like no one has seen, going all the way back to Adam and Eve. You tell them, I will never leave them nor forsake them. I will meet the devil, inch for inch, step for step, pound for pound. Everything he does, I will meet him. Well, that's what this is saying. In other words, as the judgment hits, so will his miracles. Or as this flood, if I'm tying it together correctly, what he's saying is a flood is going to come in the next 40 days. And in that, there's going to be a physical flood. There's going to be a spiritual flood. A physical flood, which I'm about to talk about, and then a spiritual flood, and it sounds like he's saying miracles, which is what we've been looking for. As my judgment went forth, Noah began to build the ark. This is the hour of the latter rain. La-di-da. What'd he say? He just said, this is Joel 2, starting. Did he say the tribulation is about to start? Well, he didn't use those words, but that's sort of what he said. But in the mouth of two or three witnesses, let a thing be established. But I can show you other prophecies where they've said almost the same words. But let's go on. While it rains inside the soul, in other words, a spiritual rain, know that in the next 40 days and 40 nights from the delivering of this word, there shall be a rain of judgments upon the earth. And that probably ought to be R-A-I-N, but you get it. Rain of judgments upon the earth, meaning America, that you have never seen nor experienced. So what he's saying is there's about to be a physical flood, and there's also about to be a spiritual rain, the latter rain, where he pours out the latter rain and the former rain in the first month, a double portion. We believe, I've got two other people that says it's not going to be a double portion. It's going to be sevenfold, 7 times bigger. Let's go on. Saith the Lord, it is the beginning of the end. Now, he did not say it's the beginning of the tribulation. Sometimes I think it is. Sometimes I think it's not. But I tell you what, I'm going to be listening. Come Saturday morning at about 10:32, September the 24th, I'm going to be listening in the physical and in the spiritual. I'm going to be listening. I've heard a lot of times, Lord, let me hear when you open that first seal. Revelation 6:1 says, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. As I mentioned, Ken Peters said in his dream that he had like over 40 years ago, it sounded like a 1970s car horn. He said it was long and it was loud, and every ear on earth heard it, and some, not all, some of the graves exploded open. He said it looked like there was an explosive device in the grave. He says, I literally saw dirt flying. Then he saw people wearing white, extremely white, brighter than the sun, wedding garments. He said it was like a choir robe, except for it had a big cloak. He said he saw them walking around the exploded hole in the ground. He didn't see them float up into the air. He said they just poof, just disappeared after they walked around a couple of times. He said he did not see anybody go in the air. No one, no flesh and blood floated up. So this is what he says he saw as the physical flood. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to the Ohio River shall overflow its banks, running down through Georgetown, Pennsylvania, saith God. The flood shall come down forth through the Ohio River Valley, West Virginia, East Liverpool, Ohio, all through the Ohio Valley to Kentucky, to Cincinnati, to Ohio, into downtown Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, Brookport, Illinois, Paducah, Kentucky, to the Mississippi River into Memphis, Tennessee. It shall overflow and cover Interstate 40. Look to the uncovering, saith the Lord of hosts. Did you get that? He's saying that there's about to be a physical rain, a flood, and a spiritual rain. He said that this is the start of the end. Well, he didn't say this is the start of the tribulation, but he sort of said this is the start of the tribulation. Now, I don't know, and I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. We're all going to be good watchmen, and we're all going to be listening spiritually and physically for that long horn. I shall uncover new things that have never been seen going on with Timothy Dixon's. He says, look at and I can't say those words, you'll have to actually read it. I'll uncover atrocities from within. A leak shall be great in the investigation. An outside source, saith God, shall come from the office of the, I can't say those words either, shall sound the whistle, and they shall begin to turn and blow and begin to overturn the injustice of many years. Through its findings, saith the Lord, it will be revealed that there will be not just one, but that there have been 4 of these things that they cheated on. Many shall we, got to look at that, I can't say those words. We don't have freedom of speech in America anymore. Many shall wish to take the lives of those cheaters. You'll hear rumors that are true and those that are lies to try to confuse the people. From a cave beneath the oceans, I'll say this again. From a cave beneath the oceans, I will shake the atmosphere. I think that's scalar wave. It also could be CERN. I will shake the atmosphere, saith the God. The dead will be raised. The blind will see. Miracles that have never been seen and will start. What did he just say? The same thing I was told. As the judgment hits, so are my miracles. Miracles like no one has seen, going all the way back to Adam and Eve. You tell them, I will never leave them nor forsake them. And that's what I want to encourage you with. Don't worry. Don't get worried. Get ready. To the person that's prepared, the trouble coming is not scary. Instead of saying, doggone, we're saying hot dog. Because we're saying, finally, people are going to start listening to us. Finally, they're going to start receiving Jesus. Finally, when I talk to them about Jesus, they'll listen. So, to the watchman, to the soul winner, we're about to go to work. That's exciting. Sad to say it's got to be in a time of trouble. Italy, my word, still back to the prophecy. Italy, hear my word. Once again, Mount Etna shall roar from a depth that science has never seen. From the bottom of the earth's core, she shall spew fire and brimstone, saith the Lord. Awaken, prophets. Awaken, pastors and ministers of the altar. Behold, I do a new thing that the world shall behold in a moment, and wonder at the power of the flames of the fire that I bring forth in your day. I'll make my ministers a flame of fire. Shut yourselves inside. This is to the ministers. You want to be a soul winner? This is you. Shut yourselves inside your closets and pray, saith the Lord God. Stay until you are endued with power from on high. Isn't that the same thing Acts chapter 2 told them? Stay in the upper room until you're endued with power. I'm telling you, this is the Lord. God is talking. But how many of us will go into our closet or a prayer closet. That doesn't necessarily mean a real closet, but I mean, how many of us will go off and fast and pray and get away from the world and shut ourselves into the Bible and into praise and worship until finally the power arrives? If we want the souls, we want the miracles, He's given us the recipe. Denver Ready gives free bug-out bags away as part of the National Preparedness Month. Now, I've run out of time, but essentially, the city of Denver, not the city, but the Denver Ready Company is giving away free bug-out bags. Do they know something? Yeah, I think they do.
Hello again, this is the Watchman. Please join us on our new video channel called Encounters from Beyond the Veil. It's the same exciting content as our audio podcast, but in a shorter, but yet a video format. Also, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our episodes. That's Encounters from Beyond the Veil, exclusively found on YouTube.
Well, thanks again for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends. Any comments or suggestions you may have, you can send to the Watchman on the Wall 2020 at gmail.com. We encourage you to subscribe so you'll always be notified of our future episodes. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you next time on the Watchman on the Wall podcast.